Welcome to episode 5 of Monetize Your Message, where we're helping you develop strategies to build a consistent message and achieve your business goals. Today, we are talking all about the importance of storytelling in your business.
Hey, I'm Marie and this is Jessie, and what we're going to talk about today is first launching into the definition of storytelling for your business. Obviously, there's a lot of kinds of stories out there. We all love movies and books and Netflixing it up all the time, but it turns out you can actually harness that enjoyment and the power of those stories in your own business so that you can grow your business in the way that you want to do that. So here's our definition for storytelling in your business, which is using relevant, and that's important, relevant personal stories to help your audience really relate to you and feel like a part of the conversation and your journey, to understand your journey and expertise and how it reflects their own journey and their needs.
So the basic idea behind all of this is that people do not necessarily want to buy from a business. They want to buy from another person, someone that they connect with, someone they relate to, someone that they feel like they can actually have a relationship with, even if it's just a professional relationship. And your stories really pave the way for creating those bonds between you and your audience members.
Totally. I remember, I don't know how many of you guys are Raising Cane's chicken fingers fans, but I was there not too long ago, and we were sitting under, we usually just went through the drive-thru, but this one time we went inside, and we were sitting under this placard on the wall, and it was about the owner's story of how he actually came up with the business. And it was great to see how the story actually started off with some failures and some missteps. And by the end, like, I was like a Cane super fan, like, never mind that the food is yummy, right? But I really loved how relatable he was. And I think that's the key, is that people don't necessarily want to buy from businesses. They want to buy from people, like Jessie said, but they also respect the fact that, you're messy. It's okay. It's okay if there's some missteps in there. And in fact, it makes you more real. It makes you more relatable, that you're not just this perfect business person who's never done something that didn't work out quite right, or never done something that you didn't really regret doing as you looked back on it, that was maybe a mistake or something that you could have done better. It's totally okay to embrace the mess as well as your success in your business.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into really 3 key components here that tie back into our definition, and that is how it helps your audience relate to you when you storytell, how storytelling helps your audience feel like they're a part of the conversation, and how it helps them understand your journey and expertise, which in turn helps reflect on their own journey and expertise. And then we're going to throw in a bonus at the end as well. So let's dive right in first with helping your audience relate to you. And this can be like on super relevant points like building a business and the struggles of building a business, or like Marie said with the Cane story, which is really relatable, and like, okay, everyone goes through struggles, but it doesn't have to be these big things. It could also be something very, very basic and even a little silly, like the fact that Marie and I are both Harry Potter fans. These little tidbits of information that let people know a little bit more about you and also make them more relatable to you. So, we pride ourselves in being a little bit nerdy. And whenever we write emails or sales pages or put content out there, every once in a while we'll throw in a little aside about that. And so that group of our audience feels like they can relate to that. But that is just one way of doing it. And then on the other hand, you have the more in-depth stories and the more in-depth pieces of our experience that tie into things like entrepreneurship or other pieces of our life, like the fact that Marie plays the cello or lives in an RV, or the fact that we're both dog lovers and things like that. So little pieces of us that make us more 3-dimensional and not just these 1-dimensional business owners who are going to help you with your messaging and strategy.
Totally. Just because somebody who's successful and been there before, someone that you look up to, does something and talks about themselves in a certain way, doesn't necessarily mean that's what you need to be doing as well. This really gets back to the core of what we're always preaching, right? Which is be yourself. Use your own voice. Share your own stories. Share your own experiences, your passions. It is important, I think, that you can tie it back to be relevant to your business. just because it's really important to have consistent messaging. But if you can find a way to connect the fact that, you live in an RV with the fact that you work and help people with their stories, and help people write copy and help people figure out their messaging, go for it. Connect that tissue, because it really, really does help people get to know you a little better.
Yeah, and you can connect anything. If you want to make the connection, you can. And sometimes it can even be a fun little aside. Like if you say something in like a parenthetical thing, that just gives a little insight into your life and whatnot. Which kind of leads to the next point, which is that it helps your audience feel like a part of the conversation. One of the things Marie and I are very, very passionate about is not necessarily sounding like a robot when you write, but sounding like a person. And that doesn't just go for writing, it goes for speaking too. So when we film these videos, we want to have a conversation with you, even though you're just watching the video. You can't talk back to us, but you can in the comments. So we want to start that conversation, and we want to have you feel like you're a part of it, not that you're just listening to people lecture at you. And that should be a similar goal for you within your business.
Totally. So a way to approach that can be when you sit down to write, or you sit down to record a video or create whatever kind of content that you're, deciding to create. Really imagine that there's another person there. Imagine that some member of your target audience is there, and put forth that kind of welcoming, warm, conversational tone. Just what you would do. It doesn't have to be what somebody else would do. If you don't think of yourself as a people person or a conversationalist, that's fine. Just imagine it's a friend sitting there who happens to need what you're offering, or who happens to be interested in what it is you're talking about. One thing also that's important here, and we'll dig into this a little bit more in later weeks though, is not overloading people with detail. There's a time and a place for that, and that's probably in like a paid course or something where somebody says, yeah, I'm really ready to dig in to this thing. But when you're just putting content out there, think about those times that you've been listening to somebody tell a story, and halfway through you realize your mind is wandering, you're yawning, you're looking at the clock, trying not to be rude, right? But they just keep going. And chances are they could have gotten to the point a lot faster and been a lot more conversational about it if they just left out some of the details. So leave in what's important. Just treat it like a conversation, and treat, even if it is a one-way street, imagine that you have that other person there reading and responding, and give them space. Like, ask questions, say things however you would say them, so that it really does feel like you.
Yeah, I like to use the coffee shop test. So, if you think about you and either you and people that you are friends with or acquaintances with going to a coffee shop together, or you going to a coffee shop by yourself and just kind of starting up a conversation with someone else that's there, what are the ways that you would approach those conversations? And odds are you're going to be talking to those people in a much more casual way, and you're going to be trying to find common ground with those people throughout the conversation, as opposed to just being very stilted and only sticking to business and only talking about what it is you do. You're going to try and draw connections with how what you do and who you are relate to the person you're talking to. So thinking about it in that context might help a little bit too.
Totally. And I mean, this totally holds true for formal types of storytelling as well. I mean, what do people say about movies that they really love or books that they really love? They say, I feel like I was there. I feel like I was a part of the story. And obviously they're not. These are still sort of one-way streets, right? And you're just there as a participant, or as a observer, not as a participant. But skillful storytellers make space for the audience. They make space for sort of this invisible other person to feel like they're there and to feel like they're a part of it. So if you can strive to do that with your storytelling in your business as well, then that's great. And you don't even have to have a multi-million-dollar Hollywood budget to accomplish it. You can totally just achieve this sitting down at your computer.
Yeah, and the great thing is that in a movie or a book or something like that, there is a journey, right? You're going from the beginning of the story through the conflict, the resolution, all that, to the end of the story. But your business is a journey as well. And you're not just your business as in like the process you take your client on from first time you talk to them to when they buy from you and get all the upsells and all that, but even your journey as a business owner. That journey is really important for your people to know about, because they will relate to that. So in sharing those stories, you give them this opportunity to see your journey, see your ups and your downs and in-betweens, And that in turn showcases your expertise, and it adds to the value that you provide, and that know, like, and trust factor that is so important to so many people. And hopefully in turn it'll then reflect their journey and their needs, because odds are many of the people that you work with are in a similar position as you, just a few months or a few years behind you on that journey.
Totally. So let's talk about what that journey actually can look like. Let's say you're a business coach, and your journey started with you finishing school, and you got a 9-to-5 job, and you did really well in it for a while, but then you realized it was soul sucking, and then you decided, no, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to work on my own timeline and for myself. And so you launched this business. You may have had a few bumps at the beginning, but now you've achieved success, and you want to help other people who are stuck in the rut of a 9-to-5 achieve the same thing. This is a journey that we hear pretty frequently, right? And everybody has their own spin on it, and everybody has their own take, which makes them special, and the reason that somebody would want to work with them as opposed to another business coach. But the thing is, when you think about your journey, a lot of times people think about it. They almost think about their resume as the journey. But the truth of the matter is, maybe that's not your story. Maybe your resume is just sort of like, I've had one job forever. I've always been an entrepreneur, and this is what I do, or whatever it is. That's okay. Your journey is not limited to what's on your resume. Your journey can also include experiences that you've had, revelations that you've had, just sort of different friendships, or even different emotional or spiritual experiences that you've had. So don't neglect those things, because those are an important part of your story too, and an important part of your journey. I mean, part of my journey as a business owner may include my passion for hiking on the weekends. And that's something that can totally be a part of my journey, something that I wanted to include more of in my life. It has nothing to do with my resume. It's not on there. You can think outside of that box of that 8.5 by 12 piece or 11 piece of paper. Absolutely.
Yeah, and really that's where some of the most important lessons come in. So taking the hiking example, just for kind of a quick story that is a part of our journey. Before Marie and I were business partners, we were hiking buddies. And one of the things that we do whenever we are in the same place together is we make a point to go hiking. And one of these trips a few years ago, we were in Arizona. We went to, we were in. I
was like, what story is she going to tell? Because we have so many mishaps. Yes.
We went to Flagstaff, Arizona, and we were hiking Mount Humphrey. And it was a very tall hike. There was a lot of altitude. Marie's laughing at me because this was one of those instances where we overestimated what we could do. It was still April. There was snow on the mountain. We didn't necessarily have the right gear. I hadn't adjusted to the high altitude because I was coming from Houston. So we go on this journey, and we ended up, for the first time ever, having to turn back before we reached the summit. And that was a really difficult experience for us, especially for me, because I'm a chronic overachiever, and I'm the kind of person who I'm like, it's right there. I have to get to the summit. But I was making myself physically ill from the altitude. And it was dangerous because of the ice, and we didn't have the proper equipment. So we had to turn back. And that story, that lesson that we learned of sometimes when you push and you push too hard, it's actually to your detriment, is something that is carried over to our business experience as well. We've learned in business that sometimes it's best to back off instead of push forward and push through things.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so true. North Star Messaging and Strategy could have ended that day on Humphrey's Peak, halfway up Humphrey's Peak.
It was more than halfway. We were like almost there.
I know, you could see it. So it really took a lot of strength of will. So this brings us to our final bonus point, which is no one is going to know you if you don't share you. Another way to kind of look at this is don't be a clone of other people. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but we want to dig into this a little bit more, because you are your number one business asset. It's so true. I mean, people think about their list, people think about their brand, whatever. All that stuff is important. Yeah, definitely. But you know why? Because it reflects you. Mm-hmm. Because it's something you've built. And the reason that people sign up for your opt-in, the reason that people sign up for your Facebook group, or the reason that people buy from you has nothing to do with them necessarily comparing apples to oranges with you with somebody else who's a little bit different from you who might offer similar service. Like, they're buying because of you, because they like you, because they like how you talk to them, because they like how you present yourself, because they feel like your journey means something to them, and that they can relate to your journey, and that they want to be a part of it, or they want their journey to reflect yours. And if you don't get that out there, no one's going to know that they relate to you. It's all about visibility, and it's all about being yourself.
Right. And if you try to be visible in a way where you aren't being yourself, the problem is that you just become part of the white noise. And you definitely don't want to be just another person who's promoting similar services in the same way. And yes, there are best practices as far as ways to gain visibility and exposure and get in front of people, and, you know, how to write something so that it's more persuasive. There are best practices there, but at the end of the day, people want to buy from you, not from all of those tricks. And so it's important to kind of strike a balance between, you know, what I call the science and the art of being a business owner, and of writing, and of creating content, and of being your brand and being your message. You know, there's the science behind it, there's the strategy and the tools, but then there's the art of it, which is really stepping into who you are and embracing it, sharing your stories, understanding how to write and talk in the voice that is authentic to you and no one else, and really embracing it and using it as a leverage point in your business.
Totally. So our challenge for you as we head out of this episode of Monetize Your Message is to be thinking about your story. Take some time to journal around it. Take some time to really think, what is your journey? What is it that has brought you to where you are now in your business? That's a story that only you can tell. Even if it looks like other people's stories, there's a reason yours is different, because you are not someone else. You are no one else. You are yourself, and the world needs to hear that journey. So be thinking about what that looks like, and start journaling around that, start thinking about it. And when we come back for the next episode, we're going to be talking about how you can actually incorporate storytelling into your business so that you can start putting that story to good use.
If you do go ahead and journal about those things, please, if you have any, you know, bright insights, big ideas or anything, feel free to drop them in the comments. We love reading about what you guys are doing and how you are relating to these episodes. And if you have anything about storytelling that you want to hear about, also let us know in the comments.
Perfect. Thanks so much, and see you next time.